Hey guys, how are you doing today? This is Maurice, your homeless to homeowner real estate agent, and today I'm excited to go through my first home buyer seminar. I'm a little bit nervous, I'm not gonna lie. Hopefully everything is working out. Um, if there's anybody out there, just shoot me a quick text. Let me know if we're doing okay. All right. So there's some of the things that I do want to talk to you about as far as being a first-time home buyer. It is extremely exciting to purchase your first property. I can tell you that right now. As a home buyer, one of the things that I tell my clients is that although the process is extremely stressful, I can tell you right now it is worth it. Um, I've been a homeowner since 2000 and I want to say 18, 19, not 2018 or 19. Um, about a homeowner for about a year, maybe before COVID happened, a year or two, and it has been a tremendous blessing on my life. When I talk to people and they tell me how much their rent is, I'm like, gosh, my mortgage is literally not that much. Well, compared to their rent, right? Everything is a little bit different. This process right now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going through my first time home buyers consultation. When I meet somebody, I usually do this on a Zoom call. I take questions from them, and basically, we're going to have just a conversation here, and I'm going to tell you exactly what to expect, and we'll go from there. So let's see if this works the way I want it to work. All right. So we'll go back. All right. Perfect. So as you can see, that's me, Maurice Davidson, your homeless to homeowner real estate agent. And I can tell you right now, I was homeless, staying in shelters, did not have any money. That is a part of my story. And that is a part of my story that I never want to forget, right? It's emotional story for me because it's true. Those things did happen. Staying in a shelter at that are in there in that shelter is not fun. So this is the first time home buyers consultation. All right, this one. Let me know if you can't see the slides. If they're not big enough. Hopefully they are. These are the people that's actually involved in the process. Okay. Number one, you have your seller, right? You can't be a buyer without a seller. The seller is the legal owner of the subject property that is listed for sale. So the seller can honestly be a lawyer, because if it's an estate sale, it could be a grandchild, because the mother is no longer, or the parent is no longer capable, and they're moving into a living facility. So it does not actually have to be the person that's on the deed or the title, but it has to be someone that has an interest in the property in order for it to go on market. Okay. The loan officer. All right. So the loan officer is a representative of the bank and or any other financial institution, right? So I used to be a loan officer and I did it for about 2 years. And can I tell you that, woo, that is probably one of the most stressful jobs that I've ever had in my life. As a loan officer, I can honestly tell you that they have it worse more than any of our agents have it. Because believe it or not, the money is the most important thing, right? Like I can sell a home because I'm good at what I do, but at the truth of the matter is that if the bank does not finance that home, then that's an issue, right? So the most important person in the real estate transaction is the loan officer. And the reason why, so you have to make sure that you get a loan officer that knows what they're doing. And when they pre-qualify somebody, they have taken all avenues. So of course, when I was a new loan officer, people really didn't want to take a chance on me. But because I was dedicated, I did make a couple deals. I'm not going to take that story away from me or that time in my life, but I can tell you, excuse me, I can tell you that it was a stressful job. And as a real estate agent, I'm telling you, yeah, I just can't tell you how more stressful it was, yo. I can just, if you want some funny, these are horrible stories. You know what I had? I was doing a loan for someone, and this woman had about maybe 2/3 of the home's value in cash. So like let's say she was purchasing a $300,000 house. Well, she had $200,000 in the bank, right? And so you're saying, why don't she buy a $200,000 house? Well, she wanted this house. That's not my, my job to judge anybody. But we couldn't give her a loan because in the previous year she was in the hospital the whole year. She was basically on her deathbed, and some miraculously, by the grace of God, that she was healed. So for that whole year, her credit was demolished, and you have debt, you have collections from medical. I mean, it was about $250,000 just medical bills, and the woman's credit was about 720. There's two separate things, right? Um, and we had to deny her. I had to deny this woman that had $200,000 in the bank cash, and she only wanted to purchase $100,000 home, and she had the money because she was collecting Social Security. But I had to deny her because of credit history. Fact is that her credit history, because she was dying last and that right there, start over, that's one of those things where you'll never forget. So that was my experience as a loan officer. The lender is the same exact institution. A real estate agent is me. Now, my job is, depending on which section you're at, which service I'm serving, it's either going to be a buyer's agent, which is in here at this, because this is a buyer's consultation, or you're going to be a listing agent. Now, let me explain to you the difference in those two, right? So a listing agent is someone that works for the seller, or i.e. home, right? A buyer's agent is someone who works for the buyer. Now, I have most of my experience as a buyer's agent because of the way that I came into the industry, knowing people. But as of this last year and a half, I have been switched over to become mostly a listing agent. So if you're out there and you're thinking, of course, I'll still handle your deals if you're a buyer. But if you're out there and you're thinking about selling your home, please do not hesitate to give me a call, as I am a listing agent, which is someone that mostly focuses on homes that are looking to sell or list. All right. The home appraiser. Now, a home appraiser is an unbiased person who gives an estimate on the value of the property for what it's worth. Okay, so those are the most important. Like, he's a scary guy when it comes to selling a home. And the reason why I can say he's the scary guy is because if the home does not, if he doesn't find the value of the home, then the deal could possibly be dead. If the sellers refuse to come down, or if the buyers refuse to increase their amount. So let me just give you a situation about why the appraiser is an important person, or in that situation. A couple years ago, we were having the COVID um, sellers market where interest rates were pretty much free. So you had a lot of people overpaying for property. My belief is that even though they overpaid for property, they still got a great deal. So I would never deny anybody that paid $60,000, $70,000 for a property, because there will be no time in the future that I can foresee that interest rates would be 2% or 3%. So for me, it's just a lifetime of free money. I would never deny that. But you're dealing with a situation where the appraiser, who has a normal appreciation in a normal market, it's appreciation between 2 to 3% per year. So it goes like this: slowly but surely, 2 to 3%. Now you're dealing with the market that went up 30%, within a year. So they were trying to avoid something like from 2008, which is values were so over saturated or overinflated that it would never be able to come down, and that the eventually what would happen is the seller would owe more on the home than the home is worth, right? So the appraiser will come out, and technically, if you're dealing with a property that's half year, so if you purchase a property, if a property has sold in January, and you're about to sell your property or purchase a property in June, where they're supposed to use those last 6 months as a determine what the value of that property is. So if properties are inflated in the last 6 months, they're supposed to use those inflated prices to determine values. Well, because this was an odd situation in the industry, they weren't. They were using the normal, some appraisers were using the normal 3% rule, right? So uh, you would have a lot of properties who are under appraising. Okay. Now, so that for as an appraiser is a very important person because it tells you exactly what the bank is willing to pay for. Now, another thing about the appraiser that most people don't know is that the bank does not talk to them. They do not know who the appraiser is. They just give out order a number and boom, it goes in there, an order form, and the appraiser comes out. Uh, Nobody depending on the appraiser, you can give them the comps that you determine the price on, um, or if they accept it, or if they not. But basically, the appraiser is its own entity, and it deals with its own facts. You have the home inspector. Well, excuse me. I always recommend a home inspector to my clients, one that I have um, experience with. And it's not because I am trying to get my client just to close a deal, but it's because I know that there are good inspectors and there are bad inspectors. For instance, just recently had an issue with a bad inspector, uh, where the inspector, um, how can I say this the right way, bashed the whole entire property, which is fine. Tell the truth. But in the same instance, as you bash in the property, give the buyer options on how to fix it. So if you're saying that there is a leak under the sink, well, tell the buyer how to fix the leak. That's all they need. They don't need you to make their first experience a horrible experience. So I always say, I recommend my inspector. You can go with your own, but and because it's your inspection as the buyer, we are not allowed to talk to them, or we are not allowed to make sure that they can that because we have a conflict of interest, right? So we just want to make sure that the inspector is somebody that your listing agent or your agent trusts, and make sure that the inspector is someone that can get to your level and explain to you, the buyer, uh, what is actually wrong with the property, and if it is able to be fixed, you can fix it. The title company, the title company works with you to ensure that the title is clear of interest, liens of encumbrances, or encumbrances that may um, bar the transfer of title. So basically, a title company insures the property from the time that you purchased it previously. It does not insure to anything after. So basically, if anybody comes out of the woodwork, or if there is a loose chain from home ownership, they will find it and figure it out. Um, and they'll make sure that nobody can come from the past and basically try to take your property. They are insuring you, the buyer, that you have clear title and you do not have to worry about somebody coming in and taking your home once you purchased it. Now, after you purchase it and whatever you do as far as liens and everything like that, that's on you. But from the day of you signing that document, your closing table, signing the deed and the loan, you do not have to worry about anybody taking your property. Real estate attorney. Now that is extremely important. Please, please get a real estate attorney and not a regular attorney. Everybody has their niche when it comes to the world, right? I will never go into a BMW auto body shop with a Honda, or better yet, I will never go to a Honda auto body shop with a BMW because they do not specialize in BMWs. They specialize in Hondas. So I will go to a BMW shop. So when you're dealing with real estate and you have an attorney that you have a family friend who's a general attorney, we can totally understand that. You want to use somebody who you trust, who is an attorney. But if they do not specialize in real estate, the words are different, the situations, how the process goes is extremely different. So you definitely wholeheartedly want to have a real estate attorney. All right. Now, I recommend one of the real estate attorneys that I've used. You can more than welcome to call them to vet them, but I recommend at least 3 real estate attorneys that I deal with. and you're allowed to pick one of the three, and hopefully you'll have a great experience to go with it. But it is extremely important that you get a real estate attorney and not just a general attorney. All right. Insurance company, homeowner insurance company, very simple. You can get that from the same company that you have your car insurance with. And depending on how much you want your policy for, that determines your monthly payment. All right. All right. Next step is the buying process. All right. Now, let me stop for a second. This is a buyer's consultation, what I give my clients when we're going over a Zoom call. Now, as of right now, I can't see if anybody's in the perfecto. All right, so buyer's consultation. That is what you have when you're talking to your agent. It explains, you give your agent the idea of what you're looking for. Um, you'll come to an understanding. Basically, it's an interview process for the buyer's agent, as well as an interview process for the buyer. There's opportunity. There's certain times where neither one of you can get along, or better yet, as your agent, I'm not exactly equipped to handle your needs. Every client has different needs. Some clients might need you to be more tentative. Other clients might need you to be just hands off. Just send them the lead listings and let them do their thing. Um, I am more of a hands on agent only because I know how overwhelming the process can be. So I make sure that my clients understand that I'm right there to talk to them if they have any questions, right? The next thing is to get pre approved. Kind of want to switch it around, but it's the sooner the better, right? I recommend most of my lenders, what they do is they go out and well, they go out. The lenders require um, 2 years of federal tax returns, 2 years W-2s, bank statements, pay stubs, usually the last 2 to 3 consecutive payment stubs. So if you paid every 2 weeks, then it'll be the last month. If you paid every week, the last two payments. And what they'll do is they'll generally calculate, especially if you're a W-2 person, bank accounts. They'll make usually do the last 3 consecutive months to make sure that there's no uh, um, huge down payments. And if it is one, they'll find out exactly so you can clear it up with them. But you do need to get it pre approved because think about it like this: we go out there and we see a house and you love it and you really, really love it. And they're in highest and best. And highest and best usually lasts like a day or two. And now you have to go find a lender, give them the documents. Hopefully they're working at that time. And then hopefully you'll get a pre approval letter. And then what if you don't? What if the lender says, "Hey, I can't approve you for this home, but you get approved for $50,000 less than what that home is." So now we wasted our whole time. You wasted your emotions, and you can't purchase the property. So we just want to make sure that you get a pre-approval as soon as possible because it will help you through your home search, and it will help me because as I'm making your sending you listings, we're sending ones that you can actually afford to purchase, right? So that's number three is the home search. Well, that was number two. Let's get into number three, the home search. What we do is I set you up in a MLS, which is a multiple listing service. We I'm a member of. I have access to 4 multiple listing services, which is one which handles Monmouth and Ocean County, which is called Flex MLS. Number two is Garden State MLS, which covers mostly Somerset, Morris, I think Union also. And I'm also a part of one that's at Central Jersey MLS, which covers Middlesex County and Essex, I believe so, or Middlesex County and some other counties. And I also do Bright MLS, which mostly covers Mercer and Burlington County or any of the South Jersey counties. Hello, can you type to let me know if you can hear me? If you're in there, just let me know if you can hear me. Um, how to write an offer. Uh, so once we find the perfect property, you have to come to me and say, "Hey, Maurice, let's write an offer." Okay, so we talk about the what the property's value is, right? Number one, we talk about what the list price is. I find out what the seller is actually looking for, and then we'll find out exactly how much you are um, willing to spend. This is your process, right? I am here just to guide you on making the purchase your first time home and answer any questions that you have. But this is your process. This is your money that you want to spend on this. This is your down payment. This is the money that you've been saving for X amount of years, scrimping and saving for this particular moment. So I will never try to take that from you and to be overbearing and to tell you what you need to spend. All I can do as a real estate professional is basically just tell you what the market is saying, what the what's going around in that area, how much properties are selling for versus listing for, if there is a increase or if there's a decrease. I can tell you that. I can tell you that if you want to offer X amount of money, then are you comfortable with that monthly payment? That's your process. My job as an agent is just to guide you and to help you think of things that you would not normally think of, right? So then now we come and you get the offer accepted. We've done some negotiations. Now we start attorney review process, right? So attorney review, it's a little right here messed up, but that's okay. Attorney review is, if you're out there, can you just let me know if you can hear me? Let me see something. Toast, say something like that. Let's see what they say. All right. So attorney review. Attorney review is when your attorney goes over the signed contract that we gave to the seller's attorney that's signed, and then they make some adjustments with your help. So that is, I am not an attorney. Never want to be one. Your attorney, as a real estate attorney, handles all those concepts, those process questions, and anything else. Now I can listen and I can say, okay, well that makes sense. But as far as giving you legal advice, I am not an attorney and I will never do that. So anything that has to do with legality of this transaction is your attorney's job. After we get out of attorney review, which means that you've agreed on the uh, price of the not the well, yeah, you've agreed on the price of the home. You've agreed on the time of inspections. You've agreed on what is capable for you to receive any type of refund or any type of credit, I should say, if there is any issues going on. You've agreed on the date of the closing. You've agreed on the escrow amount, which could be different than the amount that I put on the contract. So these are things that uh, the attorney review process, which can last from 3 days to a week to whenever. But these are the things that goes on during the attorney review process. Now you have the home inspection and appraisals, something that what we talked about before. You're entitled to having, as a buyer, regardless of whatever we put in the contract or whatever the seller says, um, you are entitled to have a home inspection. Now, the seller can sell the property where it's in the home inspection is for informational purposes only, which means they won't give you credit for it. Whatever you find, that's fine. If you love that type of, if you love that house and you're okay with that, that's perfectly fine. But I always recommend that you have a home inspection, because what that does is that tells you exactly what's going on in the house. That tells you, so then when you purchase a property, you know exactly what you're looking for. So you definitely want to make sure that you have a home inspection. All right. After a home inspection and appraisals are done, and everything is good to go, then we have you have a clearing mortgage commitment, which means the lender or the loan officer is giving you. I'm not quotation. The loan officer has given you all the documents from the processor. They went through the back part and they got through all of whatever bank they decide to sell your loan to. Like let's say it's Wells Fargo. And that'll be another date for a video on that. If they do like a Wells Fargo, everything that has to be Everything that has to be approved from that list that Wells Fargo or whatever the bank servicing bank gives you, you're doing that. Okay, that's clearing conditions. And once you do that, we'll get the on the seller's part. Um, they'll do a certificate of occupancy, which is they're basically satisfying from the township that you're able to move in there. After they're doing that, while they're doing that, and you're getting your clear to close, which is clearing of the mortgage commitment, side by side. You're making sure that you can purchase the property by the bank. They're making sure that you can move in by the township, side by side, working together. That's why you always want to have an agent who works together with other agents very well. You don't want an agent that disappears. And that's why it's extremely important as a listing agent or as a seller that you get a listing agent who's actually um, good. That's just my opinion. Who's actually pays attention, who actually wants, who has a certain um, uh, loves their job. I don't know the right word I want to say. I want to say something in French, but I'll probably not do it. After that, you have the final walkthrough and the closing. Now, this is extremely important. I'm gonna drink my Red Bull for a second. Give me a second. So, having a final walkthrough and the closing is extremely important. Why? Because once you leave that house and you're going towards the closing, you are saying that whatever's on that house is mine. So we're good. Like I'm done with the seller. So if you leave that house, or if you decide you don't want to do a final walkthrough and they took out, bust open the walls and things like that, well, then that's your property. So it's always extremely important. I personally recommend to my clients that they do the final walkthrough the day of closing because that's the last time that the sellers can do anything to the property. They're usually at that particular time out of the property. They're gone. The keys are there, and we go in. We make sure that all the inspection issues that they had are covered. We make sure that they have still have the appliances they're still there. We still have the utilities are on, so we can make sure that the sink runs and everything else. That's your final walkthrough. That is your last opportunity to, in a way, let the sellers know that they did their job. As in, you're okay with how the sellers are leaving their property. All right, that's extremely important. Do not miss that. Don't let that go through. Don't let that go. Always do a final walkthrough, regardless. Pre-approved versus pre-qualified. So if you get those letters in the mail, basically getting pre-qualified is like as if you're going to the emergency room and they're just taking vitals and they're giving you this. They're saying, "Oh, I think you have." Let's say they look at your tongue and they say, "Oh, you have the symptoms of strep throat. I think you have strep throat," without running a test. And then they run a test and they find out that you have strep throat. Well, that's getting approved. Before looking at it and saying, "I think you have this," is getting pre-qualified. Actual running the swab and getting a test back from the laboratory is getting pre-approved. All right. This is a buyer's questionnaire that I give to all my buyers. What that means, what that is basically it lets me know what you're looking into, what you're looking for. You fill it out. It says how many bedrooms do you want, how many bathrooms, what areas you would like, what kind of home is your style. That allows me to be a better agent for you. Now, with that being said, it's best to remain flexible when it comes to homes. Do not have your eyes or your mindset specifically on one type because I've seen it multiple times where I had a client has told me that they do not want a ranch style home. They want a colonial or a bi-level. And then I take them to a ranch style home, just said, please just indulge me. Please go to this ranch style home. I take them there and then they end up buying it. So remember that in this real estate industry, each individual house has its own story, its own song, its own feeling. They have their own emotion. You got to remember that all that energy, good and or bad, it's in that house. So when you go into there, if you don't feel that energy, like this could be yours, then it's not your home. Everything tells you what You are, the house picks you. You don't pick the house. The house picks you. And because the house picks you, you're okay with some of the issues that happen during inspection. And you're okay with some of the issues that happen if during appraisal, or any other things that takes it for you, because anything that takes it for you to get to the end of the line, you're okay with that because that house chose you and it's yours. Um, so that's why it's extremely important. With I know exactly what you're looking for. Escrow, we'll go into a little bit less, a little bit. We're running out of time, actually. I was going to do this for 30 minutes, but we'll just go for another 5 minutes or so. Uh, the escrow is, you cannot have a contract in the state of New Jersey without having any monetary exchange, right? So it could be $1, it could be anything, but you have to exchange. In order for your contract to be valid, you have to exchange a monetary item. So escrow is something that you give to the sellers via your buyer's attorney or seller's attorney, but via the attorney holding an escrow account. And what that is, that's saying, hey, I'm serious about this deal. But remember, that money is not, that money is always working for you. So at the end of your down payment and closing costs, when you get your CD, it will show you a deduction about how of the money that you gave in for escrow. So you're not actually giving the money away. Basically, you're taking the money that you would normally give away at the end. Give to purchase a property at the end. You're doing it up front, a portion of it. So you will get credit for that. All right. Let's see. Appraisal shortfalls. We can go through that another day. We can go through type of sales, loan requirements. We can go through that for that. That's low income. We can go through that another day. That's one of my lenders for local income. Also, affordable purchasing, savvy tips. We can go through that another day. This is me explaining, the state of New Jersey and things like that. We can go through that another day. Happy clients. I love taking pictures with my clients. And in the middle, that's me actually purchasing my property. And mind over matter, anything is possible. So thank you guys so much for attending my first live stream by from my TV show Maurice Davidson. I am Maurice Davidson, your homeless to homeowner real estate agent. I think from now on we're going to keep this formatted to 30 minutes because honestly I didn't think that it would take more than that. Thank you so much, whomever decided to clock in, clock out. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to voice my uh, opinion about the real estate industry, and hopefully I can see you more and more. And we'll get this show down to an amazing experience for you all. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. I look forward to talking with you at a later date. Goodbye.